It's just been an incredible journey for the last 3 years.
It's our third year.
It's great to be back for the third annual Mumbai Mantra Sundance Screenwriters Lab.
So this is the third year of the lab.
And I always feel like the third year
Is deja vu.
One has completely understood the drill.
We managed to reach out all across.
the selection process has gotten only at a higher level.
There's a really good curation that's gone on here. 500 applicants.
We would recommend 10, from which 8 would be chosen.
My name is Mahindra.
Just getting here as a fellow is an accomplishment.
Every year I feel there's a trend.
I don't know, maybe it's because it's an election year, but they're all pretty political.
They're all quite political.
They're political
violence,
Institutionalized violence.
Stories that are more political and stories that deal with violence.
Experiments of Truth is a statement on how fascism will get you. It's a warning against state power.
The Last Day of Winter. It's a story of a 15-year-old boy growing up in a dystopian scenario of what India might be turning into.
sectarianism.
The title of my film is Noor. It's about a little girl who goes to search for her father in Kashmir. Father's been picked up by the Indian Army.
Swadharma, and it's about an army officer who's betrayed by his own people and he's captured by the Pakistani army.
You know, a repressive government.
River murder, and it's about a body that shows up in the river, and they've got to find out who did it.
Political corruption and sectarian violence.
Shaktipur crude.
Oil companies or governments are really predators.
A small village at Indo-China border, when villagers are actually digging for water, oil spurs out.
And how it is affecting people's lives.
Multi-layered, multi-character.
My film Flyaway Solo is about coming of age of characters when they deal with the loss of someone very close.
Inequality and their own personal identity, which is getting harder to define.
Nuclear Hearts is a story about Jules and Alex. And they both fall in love with the same Bengali girl, a nightclub singer, only to discover that she's actually a frightened and abused teenage boy impersonating his dead sister.
The world right now is in turmoil over freedom.
5 of those screenplays are directly a response to the political situation and the uncertainties that we are facing.
These are not Bollywood scripts.
India, that has a rich tradition of not only film but Bollywood film.
There is a certain kind of masala films that we get to see.
The independent spirit has become more and more vibrant and vital.
These are people who are risking being censored and are their films not being shown. It's like the 60s in France.
There are also stories that I think need to be told to the rest of the world.
And that's really what the lab is about. It's about projects that otherwise that aren't easy to get made, or are voices that are not normally heard.
The Sundance Screenwriters Lab is a protected space.
A platform for independent voices that are getting strangled everywhere else.
Sundance and Mumbai Mantra become these bridges and take our work forward to an audience.
It's really giving voice to a new generation of storytellers and filmmakers.
I think that's what we're trying to do here.
It just so happened that this year, in scheduling the lab, it fell on the Holy Holiday.
This year we played Holi with the fellows and the advisors, with colors, with traditional sweets, with music and dance. It was fantastic.
It's a way to get close to them. They can see us as, silly people, childish, and it's very good.
When you put color on someone, it's basically inviting a long-term friendship.
And it was a real treat for me to celebrate it with Malia Scotch-Marmo, who I did Hook with. And slapping color on each other's face and embracing, we said to each other, this is Neverland.
I feel we have an extremely interesting group of advisors this year.
We end up welcoming 9 phenomenal writers and directors every year.
We have 2 Indian advisors. We have Anjum, who's the artistic director.
Sunitara Porwala.
She had written the script for The Namesake.
Salam Bombay.
Jim Hart.
I'm a huge fan of Contact.
Films like Dracula.
Naomi Fauners.
Running on Empty.
Michael Handelman.
So Rose Trochet's Go Fish is one of my favoriteest movies in the whole wide world.
Elena Suarez.
A House of Sand.
City of Men.
Dante Harper.
And Malia.
There's been more women advisors here, and I think that's added a lot.
So this year is a very interesting mix. There's a majority of women amongst the advisors.
Lady power.
And there are a majority of men amongst the fellows. So we've, I think, managed to strike a very, very good balance.
They're such a diverse group.
the advisors sort of complement each other.
The level of people is very, very high, and the expectations are also very high. So, that's a great atmosphere to be working in.
The meetings that all the mentors have with each other every morning when we discuss the scripts, it's really energizing.
There's really nowhere else in the industry or in our careers where we get to have these kinds of discussions.
It's a really respectful process.
But there's also very exciting fights.
How do we get someone to clarity? That's really what it is. We're all striving for clarity.
The one-to-one meetings are sacred space. It's a true communion.
The level of the conversations that we've been having on writing and films and art and politics is so incredible and so meaningful.
During these 2 hours, there is a real, exchange of experiences.
The advisor's notes on the fellows' scripts rivals the scripts because they are so copious, they are so detailed.
I had total insomnia thinking about 2 of the scripts that I had just reread. I've never in my life thought this carefully about somebody else's script.
The eureka moment for me is when the fellow gets something that excites them. We both went, Eureka!
Well, sometimes they can be so banal. I was looking at a scene that was quite dull, and I said, I'm going to read this in the dullest manner. How are you? I am fine. What are you doing? I am standing here. I'm asleep while I'm reading them. Can we look under that and see what is going on?
We write the subtext for each dialogue that was written.
He's trying to instigate a connection.
It was supposed to be a 2-hour session, it went to 4 hours.
We got to find a way that we get what you know on the page.
If it isn't on the page, it might be in my mind, but if it's not on the page, it's not going to be there in the film.
There are things that are in my mind that are not on the page, and that's something that I constantly need help with to understand what is coming off the page for other people.
I'm kind of tough.
Her label is the witch.
She didn't know some of her characters as well as she should.
The Terminator.
Having an internal transformation.
The emasculator.
A subject that may or may not actually be a movie.
Well, a writer today started to cry, which I think is a not uncommon thing. It's a very emotional experience.
I was very doubtful about whether I should include the whole political and historical background in my story. So Suni told me that it's very important to put it because that's what makes it relevant today.
And with Mirage,
I actually like Elena's session the most because she really ripped my script apart.
He has probably 6 or 8 stories and 6 or 8 characters, and I said, stick to 2 of them.
I think the moment of eureka came with Rose when she said, don't try to put everything at once into the same thing. You're not cooking a stew over here.
Our eureka moment was a TV set becoming the focal point of an entire part of the story.
He sort of put my script through a process of established norms and principles and formulas.
Instead of having it be in a box in a corner, it's now carried in ceremoniously into the story. In the middle of a war zone in hell, to get a cable guy to come hook up your TV set so you can get cable TV.
He gave me some really good ideas on what could be done to increase the dramatic arc.
I do all my stuff sort of electronically, so if they want my notes, I send my notes to them. So I just imagine that everybody goes back home to whatever city they live in, and sort of are sitting at their computer going, oh yes, that little bit that Elena said, that little bit that Dante said, all of it sort of comes together and creates the aha moment.
He said, I wish I had met you before, and you feel meaningful,
Part of what we do here is share, our past work.
This year we watched Naomi Fauner's Running on Empty. It was a very, very emotional experience for everyone.
When the credits were rolling and the lights were coming on, I didn't have to look behind me, but I could just feel how emotional every single person was.
I think pretty much everyone broke down.
The people that are missing were very moving to me also.
It was one of the most thoughtful and emotional Q&As that I've sat through, and it felt so special to be there.
A lot of the advisors refer to those screenings in their meetings. Both my advisors actually for the next 2 days meetings referred to that in terms of my screenplay.
Sanjay Talreja decided to take a jump into the lake. All of us were wondering if he's trying to really live up to the title of his script.
They were exaggerating, it's only fiction. This place is so beautiful that it becomes almost delusional.
The food's out of this world.
When you're not talking, you are eating.
This is not just a one-way situation at all.
It's been really great interacting with the other fellows, and I have a very strong feeling we're going to be of great help to each other in the future.
We learn a lot, not only from the fellows, but from the other advisors.
I feel the fellows are so lucky, and I wish that I had had something like that when I was, starting out my career as a screenwriter. And I wish there was a lab for veterans, actually.
Every day I find myself like going, oh my, I should ask myself these questions of my own work right now.
I see in my mind Jim and I think, what is he going to say?
Naomi has said some things. I've just been like, let me write that down.
Sundance is about remembering why we tell stories.
It feels like 3 years is just too short of a time.
So our dream of having an Indian independent film industry, I think, is inching closer to realization.
3 years in some ways is the beginning.
3 years. We're lucky at Mumbai Mantra to be able to have taken this initiative forward, and we hope to do more.